The rematch between Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk is going down. Let's take a look at how that fight goes. Hello fight fans, welcome to Fight Scene. This is my YouTube channel where I go over all things MMA related. Today I want to talk a little bit about UFC 223, which is happening on April 7th in Brooklyn, New York. And finally, there's some fights that I'm really interested about. I've been making these YouTube videos and I decided to start this channel, and then all of a sudden there was this big drought in the quality of the cards that was coming up. And so I've been kind of laboring through and making some videos about some of the stuff that's been coming up, but I gotta admit I haven't necessarily been as into it as I would have liked. Yoel Romero versus Luke Rockhold was maybe an exception to that, but finally we're getting some fights that I'm really excited to look at and break down and unpack, or whatever you want to call it. And so I'm gonna make a number of videos on UFC 223 because there's so much going on. I've been delaying putting off my video about Khabib and Tony because I just haven't figured out how to articulate how I feel about that fight yet. So I am going to put up that video hopefully this week. There's just so much going on in that fight. I'm so excited for it. I was excited for the last time when the fight fell out. And I'm gonna put up a video that I'm pretty excited to do, but I've been putting it off just because I want to make sure it's good content. Today, though, I want to talk about the rematch between Rose Namajunas and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That the original fight happened back in November at the second card that was at Madison Square Garden, and it's a fight that I've been kind of looking forward to. I'll admit I haven't always been the biggest fan of the strawweight division in the UFC. I have felt in the past like it's a bit of a weak division, and so I haven't necessarily devoted a lot of time and energy to some of those fights. But this is the first fight in that division that has really got me excited. I wasn't that excited about the first fight between them because, if I'm being honest, I thought Joanna would win that fight pretty decisively. And so when Rose did get that TKO or the whatever, I don't know, tap to strike, submission, I'm not sure what to call it. We'll call it a TKO just for simplicity's sake. When she got that, I was really excited because it shook up the division a little bit. And so I am about as excited for this rematch as I am for any fight in that division, because like I said, I haven't been super invested. We've only had the one champion, and Joanna was pretty dominant, and so it wasn't necessarily all that easy to get excited for fights. That's just my personal opinion. You might feel it a little bit differently, but this fight I am pretty interested in, and I've waffled a little bit on what I think is going to happen and who I think is going to win. The first fight was so decisive for Rose. She looked so much better in the stand-up. It was a short fight, but you could tell that she was getting the better of almost every exchange, and then landed that big left hook, dropped Joanna, finished it with ground and pound, and she tapped to strikes. And so there's some days where I'm thinking about the fight on my drive to work or something, and I'm thinking, well, Rose is going to do that again. She looks so dominant in the fight. And then there's other times where I think that Joanna was so dominant and she's such a technical striker that obviously she's going to win. And I change my mind just about every day, which is one of the reasons why this whole fight is pretty exciting. I'm not really a big betting person. Actually, I don't bet on fights, really. Just too unpredictable, and I don't have that kind of expendable income where I want to be betting on fights. To each his own, right? But I did look at the odds for this fight because I thought maybe it would tell me what people are thinking as far as the rematch. And if we look at the odds, and I know that there are different sites that give different odds, but the one that I looked at has Rose at plus 125 and Joanna around negative 150. And so that would imply that the odds makers believe that Joanna has a better chance of winning this fight. And so I'll admit that shaped my opinion a little bit. And, if we look at Rose in the past, if we look at Joanna in the past, she has been pretty dominant, but she also had a lot of decision wins. She came out of the gate really, really strong. She TKO'd Carla Esparza, and she looked like the second coming of Chuck Liddell. Just the way that she put Carla up against the fence, it reminded me literally of the second fight, I think it's the second one, of Chuck and Tito, where actually both fights between Chuck and Tito, where Chuck is just teeing off on Tito, and Tito trying to cover up, and Chuck's throwing these big combinations with uppercuts, and Joanna looked like Chuck Liddell, a smaller female Chuck Liddell to me. And so I was really excited. And then she TKOs Jessica Penne, and you're thinking, my goodness, this is such a dominant person. But then something happened and I think she changed camps at some point in there. And I know that she lost a trainer because there was that interview where she was very emotional at the post-fight press conference because one of her trainers had left her camp or something. So something sort of changed, and she did kind of become a safer, more decision-based fighter. And what is Brendan Schaub says, heavy lies the crown. And I really actually like that expression, even though I'm not always a big Brendan fan. Heavy lies the crown. She maybe is playing a little bit safer because now as champion, she has a lot more on the line, a lot more to lose, a lot more to gain. And so she did play it a little safer. And we saw a different kind of fighter out of Joanna. I'd say more of a point fighter. Not that she wasn't necessarily trying to finish the fights, but she wasn't taking the same kind of calculated risk that she took in previous fights. And so I've been thinking a lot about Joanna and the journey that she had, and I think ultimately that safety style of fighting might have played against her because she was so focused on trying to beat Ronda's record that I think that weighed on her mentally pretty tough or pretty bad. And we saw evidence of that kind of with this weird speech at the weigh-in in the last fight, and she just didn't seem like she was mentally prepared for the fight, as opposed to Rose, who kind of has this casual, nonchalant attitude, go in there to fight and doesn't seem to be too emotional about it. I'm not sure if that's true, but she definitely comes across as it's another day at the office. I'm going to go in there and fight, and didn't have that same pressure that Joanna was feeling. And Rose has only really shown improvements in the past number of years. I was a little bit surprised that she got a title shot because she was only coming off the win against Michelle Waterson. It's not like she had racked up this big long win streak before getting the title shot, but she has shown improvements since her time on The Ultimate Fighter, and I think that she won't be affected by the pressure as much as Joanna. One of the things that really concerned me with Joanna was after she lost, we didn't necessarily hear her take a lot of responsibility for the loss. She sort of did some interviews where she blamed it on, I think she blamed it on a coach or some manager. And I know she blamed some of the struggle on her nutritionist because she had a really, really bad weight cut. And that was very apparent. You could see her face in the weigh-ins was very drawn out. And I'll admit that's pretty concerning for me, that you have this fighter who, it's not that she's not taking responsibility for it, but she's looking externally for external factors that contributed to her loss, as opposed to internalizing it and saying, I messed up, I didn't have my best night, I lost the fight, and I'm going to come back even stronger. She's looking to outside things to say, it's because of that over there. That reason over there is why I lost. And if she hasn't corrected that in her own mind coming into this fight, I think she's going to have a really tough night. But coming back to my whole thought about who I think is going to win, if I were to put a bet on this fight, even though I've just said I'm not really a betting guy, as an expression, if I were to put money on this fight, I probably would put it on Joanna, just because I think she's the more seasoned fighter. And we saw in particularly women's MMA that Ronda and Joanna were so strong because they had a longer history in their respective specialties. Does that make sense? That they had, Joanna as a Muay Thai fighter, winning, I think it was the IFMA tournament 5 times in a row or something like that. I heard some guys at the gym talk about it. I haven't actually looked it up. And then you had Ronda, who was the Olympic judo person as well. And they have been doing that for a long time. And then some of these other fighters kind of got into MMA as it became popular, but they didn't have this long history in their sports. And so they were really dominant until the sport kind of caught up with them. And Rose might be that newer breed of female MMA fighter that has kind of caught up to being a complete mixed martial artist that can really fight Joanna really well. We have seen Joanna be really successful against people who I would say their primary specialty is grappling. Again, she's that new female Chuck Liddell, made a career out of punching grapplers in the face and looking really good at it. And I think Rose maybe is that more complete MMA fighter, but is any of that enough to counteract the striking effectiveness that Joanna has? I change my mind just about every day. Today, on Tuesday, I think that Joanna will probably win. If you were to tell me that you think Rose were to win, I would only argue with you a little bit about it. And so part of the concern for me here is that there isn't really a deep division. I think if Joanna wins this fight, you see a third fight between the two, and then I'm not sure where you go from there. And yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. I just have some notes here. It's been a long day, and I just wanted to get this video out. Let me know if you agree. Who do you think is going to win this fight? Do you think Joanna comes back stronger than ever, shows improvements, doesn't let her affect her mentally? Or do you think that Rose is able to shock the world again, get another TKO, or dominate and get a decision win? Let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win the fight. If you disagree with anything that I said, let me know why, and we'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to watch this content. I'm just a fan with an opinion and a camera, but I love the sport of MMA. So if you want to see some more videos, you can take a look here on the right of this screen. And other than that, I will catch you in the next video.